Last reading left off at 57. When last we left our happy couple, it was in the pit. Dewey Brower had pulled a gun. Tsu'na had switched to paladin and gotten in front of him. Steve had switched to machinist and brought his own gun into the fray, and we introduced Deputy Frank, whom Sam describes as a stuck-up asshole. Sharing the screen. Okay. Here we go with Echoes of Home, Book 1, entry number 58 by Tsu'na. Money. Sorry. We were running low on gasoline-making supplies, so we spent yesterday harvesting. Husband found corn farms south of Tulsa. The corn here is different from Eorzea million corn. The individual bits of corn, kernels, are larger and the taste is not as sweet. Husband had bought a gallon of corn oil when we started. Even given the failed recipes, we had used almost all of it. We did not have a recipe for corn oil, but husband thought it would be similar in principle to making olive oil, and that writing a recipe should not be hard. I was happy to write a recipe that did not explode. We saw Deputy Frank in the diner yesterday. Husband invited him to try our pretzels and pies, but all he ordered was coffee. He stayed a long time at the counter, longer than most people who are by themselves usually stay. The regular children did not stay as long while he was there. I think he makes them nervous. We did not sell as much food as usual. Today we took the bus to Tulsa and went to a store called Best Buy. It appears to mostly sell machines. Husband spent what looked like a lot of our money on 2 computers, 2 phones, and 2 things he called Wi-Fi routers. He said the Wi-Fi routers will let the computers talk to the internet without wires, that Wi-Fi is a form of radio. He said radio is a type of light that we cannot see but that machines can. I am not sure I understand about light that we cannot see. Wikipedia has a very long article about radio, a long answer about radio. Google gave me something about a very long cat, except that there is no cat. I wondered why computers do not talk to each other the way phones do, but then learned that phones use radio too. I had thought that phones worked like link pearls. I now think I do not know how link pearls work. Googling link pearls only gives me results for Final Fantasy XIV. The computers husband bought, which he calls laptops, are much smaller than the library computers, which makes them harder to read and type on. But they are small and light, and they fold like a book, and they do not need wires all the time. Though husband showed me the battery charge on the screen and told me I need to plug the computer in when the charge is too small. He installed one Wi-Fi router at home and did things to the computers to make them connect to it. I am now typing on my computer in the bedroom. I still want to go to the library though. Husband thinks the library may have Wi-Fi, so I might be able to take my computer there if I wish. I can type anywhere, but if I want to see email or research things with my computer, I need Wi-Fi or what husband calls a hardwire connection. Husband called the phones prepaid. He said it means they will only work for a certain amount of talking, before we need to pay for someone money. Original Hymn's phone uses a monthly account, but getting that sort of phone would require ID. Now that these are bought and activated, we have phone numbers we can give to people. We have given those numbers to Sam and the Hartmans. Husband does not think I should give it to Myra, that the less she knows about us, the better. Yet he gave a phone number to Leon that was different than the one for his phone. Tomorrow we will go back to the Walmart and once again look at bicycles. Husband still wants to build one as a project, but his project list is getting long, and we can use the bicycles right away. We will also buy the light fixtures and offer money to Sam's friend Trevor to install them. All of this amounts to about $2,000 of my $5,500. I told husband it is our money, and it is. We are each doing things to build our lives here. Yet it seems like the money is being spent almost as quickly and easily as it was made. Perhaps that is how people live in this world, especially if they have nothing to begin with. And we have more than we had before. We have divided up the remaining $2,500, with $1,000 for husband and the rest for me. I still do not know what I want to do with money. We can make much of what we need. I can buy clothes I do not have recipes for, and perhaps make recipes for them, but they are not as practical or useful if I do not have glamour crystals. Husband has bought things from Amazon. Perhaps I should see what Amazon has for sale. Okay, this wasn't a problem before. It wasn't this narrow before. Something has... Oh. Oh no, that didn't help. Something has changed. Phooey. I don't want to go back to 100% resolution. Alright. Okay, that went away. Weird. F11, I did that, yes. But I can do it again. See, that doesn't increase my scrolling region significantly. But it'll do for giving me more reading real estate. Entry number 59 by Steve. It has been a month. I left a couple $100 with Sam to offer Trevor to install the shed's lighting fixtures. We're actually going to get the damn thing done. I guess even if we wind up leaving what Tsu'na likes to call our starting area, we will have left a mark on the community. To convince Leon we weren't going to have another explosion, we forced open a door at the end of the building shell to ensure adequate ventilation. Of course, the explosion hadn't been from fumes, but rather a particularly bad botch. But we couldn't tell Leon that, and we had to tell him something. I considered toting in a battery-powered fan, but decided we had enough coincidental magic. Corn oil was a refreshingly simple recipe to write. It was a culinarian recipe rather than alchemy, so it used fire shards rather than water. When Leon checked on us in the morning, he could see us working with non-exploding corn-scented liquid, and that reassured him for the rest of the day. But gasoline still wasn't coming. There's only so many permutations of ingredients and aspected shards, and it seems like we tried them all. We didn't have any violent botches, but it's hard to tell the difference between a skill failure and a recipe failure. The only stable results we got were variations on the corn oil sludge we made the first day. Fortunately, we were able to uncover where the bathrooms had been, so we had a drain to pour the sludge down, really hoping it's biodegradable. Maybe we need better ink? Our journals are all written in the same ink, husband. If the page accepts copper ink, why should it care if we use something else? Just running out of ideas. What's the next higher ink? Enchanted iron? That requires viscous secretions. Does this world have slugs? Yeah, but the biggest I've ever seen is 3 inches long. That is a lot of slugs. What about them is a secretion? I started Googling on my phone. Slug slime is a form of mucus. So viscous secretions that we have worked with are slug snot. Yes. Tsu'na wrinkled her nose. What is a word for the disgust I now feel? I think yuck covers it. She nodded. Yuck. The next higher is silver ink, which takes acidic secretions. Corrosive slug snot. I am not aware of corrosive slugs in this world. Mithril ink, perhaps? Can we get scalekin blood? We might actually be able to. You might find gator hunting fun. What is a gator? Like a croc, but smaller and less demonic. Also no death fart. I will not miss the death fart. But mithril ink takes mithril. I don't think there's any place in the state with the right terrain for mining it. Does that mean we cannot go gator hunting? Of course we can. We can find them in, let's see. I did a quick search on my phone. McCurtain County, southeast corner of the state. So we kept trying, and we tried some more. And the day wore on until finally it occurred to us that if the fumes were the most important part, we should maybe be adding wind shards. So we did, and we got something new. It had an appropriate, perhaps cancer-causing smell. It sloshed in a very liquidy fashion. I stuck a finger in it. It felt right as I rubbed it between my fingers. We poured it in a paint tray. I tossed in a lit match. Very satisfactory yellow flames. We stood there, an arm around each other, watching it burn. Then Tsu'na moved in front of me and wrapped both arms around my neck. It has been a month, husband. I believe you're right, my love. I think I heard Leon coming in while we were kissing. If so, he left without saying anything. As much as we wanted to, the building shell on a sunny afternoon wasn't a great venue. Besides, we weren't done. We had made flammable liquid from corn, but we needed to see if it was flammable liquid that worked in an engine. I'd stuck the Hartman's lawnmower in my inventory when we left. I brought it out, we poured some of our new corn gas into it, and I tried to start it up. I really tried to start. It coughed and sputtered, but it just wouldn't quite catch. That probably meant we made cornicine instead of cornylene and had some refining to do. Leon came back in at the sound of the lawnmower. Making progress, I assured him. Not there yet. Gonna go down to the gas station to get some STP. Want anything, my love? What did you call those puffy things we had before? Pork rinds? Yes, please. She hesitated, contemplated her hands, and said, I will go with you. I would like my hands clean. Since our hands were equally dirty from fuel production, we had no problem walking hand in hand to the gas station. Leon had offered a ride, but we said we needed to stretch our legs, and maybe we were coming off as couplish. One of those stealth tensions had taken its leave, and we were feeling its absence. We washed up, we got drinks and pork rinds, and I bought a 5-gallon gas can. Tsu'na cheerfully pointed out that at $35 it cost much more than 5 gallons of gas. Now that we were seeing actual progress with hydrocarbons, we might be able to make our own gas cans soon. But in the meantime, we still had Leon's truck to fill. The afternoon turned into a new cycle of adjust the recipe, put newly made liquid into mower, try to start it, add STP until it did start, run it until it was empty, lather, rinse, repeat. But it was a cycle of demonstrable progress as it took a little less gas treatment each time. I moved the mower out of the building shell so Leon could see my attempts to start it, and so that he wouldn't go in and see Tsu'na performing alchemy. I mean, there shouldn't be another explosion, but let's just stay out here anyway, okay? At last there came to a point when the mower ran with no additives at all. I ran it dry, put in more of the latest batch and ran it again to be sure. Nary a sputter. Then it got tricky. Gas at $7 a gallon over here. In California, we're still at $4 a gallon here. I guess California's taking it on the chin. Can't imagine how that could happen. Anyway, this is set in 2021, so I'm cheating. Let's see. Then it got tricky. I mean, don't you got a car of your own to try it out on? I pointed to the two recently purchased bicycles leaning against the building. Tsu'na's still learning how to ride hers, but they were good as props. But I saw what that stuff did to the mower. What if it gunked up my truck? We said we were making gas. We promised you gas. What gas did you think we meant? Can't you just, buy me some gas? If we had hundreds of dollars lying around, we wouldn't be trying to make gas. Leon still wasn't buying in. Since we didn't exactly have a written contract, he'd probably have gotten to the point where he'd say fuck it on the deal, count the ciders we showed with him as payment, and be happy with us never seeing each other again. But I did want to test the gas in his truck. Look, I don't want to fill it up, okay? Let's just put in a gallon and see how it runs. If it's okay with that, we can try another gallon tomorrow and so on. Here, I've still got 3 bottles of FTP. Why don't you take them with you and use them if the truck acts up? He looked at the bottles, then at me. Just a gallon. Just a gallon. You've still got my number, right? Call me if anything goes wrong, and I'll come meet you with real gas. We produced a gallon of cornylene and poured it into his tank. It probably wouldn't cause a problem right away. If it didn't mix with normal gasoline, something we probably should have tried first, it wouldn't cause a problem at all unless there was nothing but cornylene left in the tank. Just as a good faith measure, I got him to give me a ride into Tulsa with a stop at the gas station on the way to fill up the 5-gallon can. Before leaving, I asked Tsu'na to tell Sam we wouldn't be in this week. Where will we be instead, husband? Off together, near gators. You assure me it will be fun. Being together or hunting gators? Both. I smiled and pulled her in for an assurance kiss. She met my eyes when we were done. If you say so, husband. Miranda taught me to use F11 to hide the tab bar. Only problem is having to go back. You miss $4 a gallon? Never thought you'd have to say that. I am just squeaking by. There is this one gas station on the edge of my unincorporated area. That's what we call those here. That is still at $3.85 a gallon. The lines are a little long. Entry 60 by Tsu'na. Cabin. F11 is my new routine. I am typing this in bed. It is not a very good angle for typing, but husband is nestled against me and I do not want to move. I want to stay in this bed with him for as long as I can, though he has said we will hunt gators tomorrow. We are at the Elk Wallow Lodge near a town called Broken Bow. We came here the day after we finally made husband's gasoline, or cornaline, as he has started calling it. It is nice to not smell like corn or corn oil or cornaline. It is nice to not have projects or needs or community to build for a little while. It may bore me someday, but today is not that day. I did not know what husband had planned when he went off with Leon to Tulsa, but he had said we would be together, that we would hunt gators, and that it would be fun. So I decided to let him show me what he thought was fun. I can always correct him if he is wrong. I cleaned up our cornaline making work, returned to Wyatt, and stopped in the pit in the afternoon. Hello, Sam. Hey there. Still not an alcoholic? Still not, yes. Did Trevor install the lights in the shed? He said he'd get to it in a couple days. Got him down to 150. You are a good merchant. Thanks. Anything I can get you? I am just here to tell you we will be gone for a few days. Oh? Off looking for work? No, we will simply be spending time together. Sam smiled. Ran a getaway, huh? What you got planned? Husband promised to take me gator hunting. The smile went away. You ever had gators before? No. Husband said it would be fun. I would like to hunt bears, but husband says there are no bears in the state. Black bears in the eastern mountains, so I hear. Oh, how big is a black bear? About as tall as me when it stands up. That is smaller than what we have hunted before. Those were brown and taller than people. That sounds like a grizzly. Grizzly, yes. Husband says they are in mountains far to the northwest. He also mentioned something called a Kodiak. Sam stared at me for a moment. Tanks and shit. I smiled. Tanks and shit. So, where are you headed for the gators? Louisiana? Rickerton County. Don't know if gator hunting's legal in this state. I met his eyes. Then I suppose we are not hunting gators in Rickerton County. Suppose not. You'll have fun, don't get anything bitten off. I went to the library and told Mrs. Hobbs I might not be in on Sunday. Then I went to the diner and told Mrs. Hartman we would be gone. She seemed happy about it and hugged me. Now I know it can't be a lot of fun for a young couple being in a house with old folk like us, so you should just go off and have a good time together. We'll be fine here. I did not tell her about the gator hunting. If it worried Sam, it might have frightened her. When husband arrived to join me for dinner, he agreed. Not sure what would scare her more, the idea of her little Tsu'na going gator hunting, or the idea she's living with gator hunters. Husband erased our menu blackboard and wrote, "No night menu through Sunday." The children were unhappy about that, so we did not charge for the evening's pretzels and pies. Lying on my front with a pillow under my chest helps with the ankle. Husband has shifted in his sleep to press against me however he could. Perhaps I will do all my typing like this. The next day was spent mostly in buses. We took the bus to Tulsa, then got on another bus heading south. Husband said it was nearly 200 miles there. That was about as far as we had traveled for cotton, but this time we were not sitting on a gubu, and we were not traveling through the air in a straight line. We were in the bus for 5 hours, with some brief stops for food and bathrooms. We took turns reading and mapping, finding what harvesting spots we could in range of the road. Husband named the different animals we saw in fields passing by. Sheep in this world are less round than Eorzean sheep. Cows look like buffalo but smaller, and the ground does not tremble when they walk. I have not before seen anything that looks like an alpaca. Broken Bow is larger than Wyatt in space and stores. It has a Walmart. Many more people go to Broken Bow. Husband said many of them are tourists on their way to the lake nearby. It seemed we were also on our way to the lake as we got on a much smaller bus that took us north to a smaller town called Hachatown. From Hachatown, we rode our bicycles a few miles to El Kuala Lodge. I had expected a hotel like the ones on Highway 51 near Wyatt, but those are long buildings with many doors. The lodge building looked too small to have rooms. It only seemed to have a lobby with a desk and a restaurant in the back. Where will we be sleeping, husband? I got us a cabin. It's like a small house just for us. It is better than a hotel? I looked at the reviews for hotels in the area. Most of them sound like the inn in Ishgard. You mean the Forgotten Night? The room there had mold on the walls and trash on the floor. He pulled out his phone, did some searching, and showed me reviews of McCurtain County hotels. Mold on the walls, trash on the floor. But does a house not cost more money than a hotel room? Kinda, yeah. But I wanted this to be special. A young man was working as innkeeper at the lobby desk. Husband told him we were Saul and Tammy Hartford. The innkeeper looked at the computer and asked to see the credit card that paid for the cabin. Husband got out his wallet and produced a card. I wondered how he had gotten a payment card without ID. The innkeeper typed something and nodded. Okay, looks good. Can I see your ID? Sorry, we don't have ID. What do you mean? We don't drive. We don't have ID. How come you got a credit card but no ID? It's a prepaid card. Like the phones. Perhaps that is what husband did in Tulsa. Well, I can't give you a room without seeing ID. Oh, sorry, do you need a bigger deposit? Husband took out money. Will this cover it? The innkeeper studied the money for a moment. He looked to either side and said, I'm sorry, sir, the deposit is more than that. Husband took out more money. The innkeeper grabbed it and handed husband a key. Enjoy your stay, folks. As we left the lobby, I asked him, do you have any money left? Maybe enough for pork rinds. We walked down a road that had small houses spaced apart from one another, not as close as the Hartman's houses to his neighbors. Some had cars next to them. The one matching the number on the key did not. Compared to the Hartman's house, this house seemed older and made of boards like our workshop, or like houses in Raincatcher Valley. The first thing I saw when we got inside was a wall that seemed to be one large window. It made the house much brighter than I expected. I could see a few trees outside and a lake beyond them. There were some small boats on the lake. A porch outside the window had chairs facing the lake, as if people liked to sit and watch it. There was a living area with a couch, a television, and a fireplace. In front of the fireplace was a furry rug that looked like a beast hide, though I could not tell what beast it had been. Near the living area was a table with chairs like the Hartman's dining room, though not a room. A kitchen area was beyond the table. The entire house seemed to be one large room, though we also found a bedroom with a large bed and a comfortable bathroom with a deep tub. This is our cabin? Yes, my love. Does it work like an inn room? What do you mean? Is there a summoning bell? He hesitated. I could see he was choosing his words. I have not observed hotel rooms in this world that are equipped as adventurers' inn rooms. So there was not a summoning bell, glamour dresser, or equestrian? I would be extremely surprised to find them. The bed does look comfy, though. It does, yes. Perhaps we were tired from all the travel. Bicycle riding is still something I need to think about while doing, which makes it more work than simply riding it should be. We were starting to relax, being for the first time in this world in a house no one else would enter. There were many reasons for us being in the bedroom. We started slowly, touching each other, holding each other, looking at each other. We took our time, and then we lost track of time. The cabin had gone completely dark by the time we thought to notice. We turned on lights next to the bed. We ate from our inventory, not leaving the bed or each other. We did not feel a need for words. We turned off the lights after eating and did not notice time passing until morning. When we got up, I saw that husband had apparently also gotten food while in Tulsa. He taught me how to make an omelet, holding me from behind and giving me advice over my shoulder as I worked the pan and spatula. And distracting as he was, I was pleased to have only burned it as little as I did. We ate lunch in the lodge to let the servants clean and change the sheets, but otherwise stayed in the cabin that second day. The entire cabin and every place in it was ours, and we enjoyed it all. I have bathed in streams and waterfalls in Eorzea and sat in the spa at Ishgard, but none of that was the same as sharing a tub with husband. We lit a fire in the fireplace in the evening and cuddled on the rug. There was not an orchestrion, but there was a sound system that husband could attach his phone to for playing soft music while we laid on the couch. We sat on the porch looking at the bright stars and listening to the creatures making noises in the night. Some of the creatures I could hear were people on other porches trying to be quiet about what they were doing. When I told husband about it, he called it sounds of nature, but we did try to be quieter ourselves. We spent more time out of the cabin the next day, walking near the lake and looking at the people out on or in the water, noticing the plants, the creatures in or on them. We had not tried fishing in this world, so we switched to Fisher and filled our fishing logs, releasing what we caught. Husband said fishing requires a fishing license, but our gatherer sneak seemed to mean no one bothered us about it. We rode our bicycles on some of the paved trails. I think I have leveled in bicycle riding, but I did fall once when I hit a rock I did not see. I healed quickly, but husband still got down in the grass next to me and stroked my leg. We almost forgot where we were before someone asked if I was all right. We laughed and waved and reassured them. Then we went back to the cabin. Husband speaks of self-tensions, things we worry about without knowing we do. I think many of these have gone away while we have been here. We have worried about nothing but being together, and being together has been so natural that we have worried about nothing at all. Even such a simple thing as the bedding has not been a worry. We did our laundry at the Hartman's house and therefore had clean sheets in the evening, but here we come back to a cabin with clean sheets ready for us. Word for knowing something is still true. Conviction. Word for saying something is still true. Reaffirm. I love him and he loves me. I belong to him and he belongs to me. We know this. We have said this in the past. We promised it in the Shrine of the 12, and here we have been reaffirming it in everything we say and do. We may have our own projects and curiosities, but we have each other whatever may happen. Whatever worries we might have, our love should not be one of them. Running my hand over the sheet, I am only now thinking that the bed is the one thing in the cabin that can easily be cleaned. Not so for the couch, or the furry rug, or the porch chairs, or the dining table, or any place else. If people before us were as eager to use the cabin as we have been, none of those places would have been very clean before we used them. I think perhaps it is important to not think of this before we use the cabin, but it's also important to enjoy a shower together afterward, and not worry. Husband's breathing has changed. He is stroking my back. I think I am done typing for now. You like that, Jerry? Spoiler alert, that's about as smutty as I get. So if you're looking for an Nora Roberts, you're sure as hell not going to find it here. The Tic Tacs seem to be working. I just go through a hell of a lot of them. Entry number 61 by Steve. Gator. The American alligator can reach 12 feet in length and weigh over 700 pounds. It can swim through water, float just under the surface of the water, slither on land, run really fast on land in pursuit of prey, and do an odd side-over-side rolling action by pushing with its tail. It has bone-scale hide and an extremely powerful lower jaw. It's possible to hunt an alligator with a bow and arrow for certain values of arrow. The arrow bears some resemblance to a whaling harpoon, with a barbed head and a line attached to it. You can stand in a boat sitting very still in the water at night using red lights at a frequency the alligator won't easily see. The process consists of shooting the alligator with the arrow while it drifts by the boat. It will then retreat to the water bottom, whereupon you begin a game of tug-of-war using the line. This will take a while, but eventually the gator will be tired enough to bring it in close. At that point, you apply a bang stick, a single-shot firearm that requires physical contact with the target, also used with sharks, to a point just behind the alligator's eyes. Once you've shot the gator, you still duct tape the jaws shut on the off chance the little reptilian brain didn't get the memo about being dead. I'll answer that comment later, Romana. This information came from online research into how to hunt an alligator. None of this research occurred prior to us actually attempting to do so. We dumbed down our gear to about level 30, but to add to the challenge and to not wear out what we can't repair or replace, it greatly reduced our stats, but we hoped it would help keep a single swipe of a sword, knife, lance, axe, staff, mace, hook, or fist from killing both the gator and the mood. We took a chance on riding our falcons down fire roads to get to the deep stream where gators were supposed to be. The falcon isn't street legal without plates, but back in the woods it could be mistaken for a weird ATV, as long as we didn't take to the air in them. We ran out of road a bit before the stream. We switched to Paladin and walked on in. We thought we'd see the gator before we had to deal with it, but Oklahoma has plenty of snakes, so walking in armored boots seemed like a good idea. First-hand experience hunting gators was extremely educational. We learned, for example, that bow hunting does not work the same way with alligators as it does with deer, goats, or many other land animals. It wasn't a matter of targeting. Eorzean archer skills come with targeting, and with our gear, our dexterity is very high. It wasn't a matter of penetration. An Eorzean arrow shot from an Eorzean bow by an Eorzean with enough experience can penetrate steel. It was a matter of the arrow not actually stopping the alligator or even slowing it down in the middle of a charge. If we'd managed to nail the gator to something like the ground or a tree or whatever, the arrow might have helped. But as it was, soon to put an arrow in the gator's side and the damn thing just kept coming at me. I'm sure it hurt the gator, and I assume caused it pain, but it was rather single-mindedly fixed on me by that point. We'd taken the tank and spank approach, with me as Paladin provoking the gator and drawing it to me while Tsu'na did ranged damage. I'd heard that gators can charge on land in a straight line, but hearing it wasn't the same as seeing the thing go from lazy slitherer to approaching torpedo. My shield and I were strong enough to keep it at bay. Tsu'na shot another arrow which came close to distracting it, but still left it with a lot of fight. She walked a bit closer, studying the creature. It saw her and started to turn, but I swatted it in the nose with my shield to keep it on me. What should I hit to kill it? Clang! Don't know. Maybe the heart? Where is the heart? Clang! Scrabble! Don't know. Try chopping off its head. Where does the head end? Clang! Roar! Don't know. I'd also seen in some TV shows, though not nature documentaries, that an alligator is capable of rearing up on its back legs to get above its prey. It can't really walk or run that way. It's more along the lines of a pounce. Still unsettling it to go from something after my knees to something above my shield. I bashed and deflected it and took a step back. Don't mean to rush you, my love. The gator's throaty snarling didn't quite cover up the sound of Tsu'na's giggle. I kept my focus on keeping the gator's focus on me. Tsu'na apparently got over her amusement enough to change to warrior as her battle axe came down behind the gator's eyes. The gator's body convulsed, its jaw snapped once, and then went slack. I mean, it's not like I haven't fought bigger things in the past. I used to farm dragons and coerthas for Christ's sake. But we've been out of Eorzea for a month, and toward the end of our time there, or the time there that we remember, we'd gotten to the point that we didn't fight beasts every day. And things here had a certain predictability to them. An earth alligator does too, but it also has a dynamism that Eorzea critters don't. Plus, as I said, we'd gone with lower level gear. Sure, I'm still a level 80 paladin, but I had level 80 30 gear. I had level 30 gear, and that might have been a level 30 alligator. So I had no reason to be embarrassed or ashamed at having to struggle with that gator. But that wasn't what I felt at the time. I'm a man. I can admit these things. Tsu'na rested her hand on my shoulder. You were right. This is fun. Glad you think so. You can tank the next one. She smiled and shifted to Paladin. As the gator bodies faded, she pulled something from her inventory. What does one do with gator teeth? Goldsmithing? Jewelry and keychains and stuff? Like fangs. But if hunting gators is not legal, can we have gator teeth? Yeah, you can buy them online and make stuff from them. There's probably necklaces in the local gift shops made by people who've never seen a gator. Yet we have seen a gator. Yep, we're authentic. I thought about how effective Tsu'na's arrows had been and shifted to Dragoon, readying my lance. More post-mortem research trivia. The bigger alligators tend to be solitary. There are nests or groups of smaller gators, but when one gets up around the size of the one we fought, it's generally all by its lonesome. Which means there wasn't another gator handy, so we waited for the respawn. The lance was more immediately effective. Enough arrows probably would have done the job, but a single lance thrust was enough to cripple the gator and slow it down. It never reared on Tsu'na. I was able to finish it off with 3 good thrusts before it had a chance. I, of course, wasn't at all tempted to hold back and share that experience with her. We abandoned tank and spank in favor of double alert teaming classes. This meant one of us was provided with a nice big flank to strike while the other had its attention, causing the gator to switch back and forth between us. This worked well with warrior axes, dragoon lances, paladin swords, and even monk fists. Samurai katanas worked, but with the angle and the thick hide, it felt like we were delivering the death of 1,000 cuts. The day was starting to wear into evening when we decided to try ninja. We had our daggers ready, but thought we heard someone coming through the underbrush, so we stealthed and waited. A man slowly emerged from the vegetation, carrying a shotgun with a flashlight mounted on it, pointed at the ground in front of him. It was hard to tell in the reduced light with the flashlight in the foreground, but he appeared to be wearing khaki clothing and a ball cap. I thought I saw a reflective flash on his chest. Probably law enforcement. He stalked into the area we'd been hunting in and swept the beam around. Our kills don't leave remains or blood, but anyone reasonably outdoor savvy could tell from the ground that there had been activity there. He approached the water, shined his light out over the surface, then turned away from the water and swept the area again. That, of course, was when the gator respawned. It must have been surprised to wake up to an easy meal being right in front of it. It shifted around for the right angle, then reared up with a croak behind the man. The man looked over his shoulder at it, but didn't have time to turn before the gator would have come down on him, or before Tsu'na dashed across and tackled him to the ground. The gator came down where the officer had been. I switched to Dragoon and swatted the gator across the face with my lance handle. I could probably have stabbed the gator through the head, but after all, hunting alligators isn't legal in Oklahoma and therefore not advised in the presence of an officer of the law. So I kept it at bay with my lance point, trying not to injure it. Tsu'na got up, switched to Dragoon, and joined me in goading the gator away from the officer and back toward the water. Its meal having become far less easy, the gator was willing to retreat from us and swim away. We turned back to the officer. We stared at each other a moment before he scrambled for his shotgun, snatched it up, and swept us with a flashlight beam. "Where the hell did you come from?" "We were just passing by. We were hoping to see a gator. Would you mind not pointing it at us?" The shotgun slowly lowered to point at the ground in front of us. He detached the flashlight with one hand and raised it to our faces. "This here's National Park land. You can't hunt gators out here." "Sorry, officer, we..." "Game warden." "Warden. Right. We're not hunting. We just came to see them." "With spears." "We heard they were dangerous. Seemed like a good idea." "What's that you're wearing?" "Leather armor. We heard they're very dangerous." The light moved back and forth between us. "Y'all from around here?" "No, sir. Eco-tourists. We're staying at the Elk Wall." "And you go around eco-touring, toting that stuff around?" "We make it for Renfest. Seemed like a good idea for not getting bitten by anything." From what we've been able to see, he was wearing heavy leather boots, so he should have appreciated caution. Or, for that matter, getting his life saved. But there we were. "Let's see some ID." "Sorry, we don't have any." "No ID." "No, sir." "You're on federal land with weapons looking for alligators and you don't have ID." "Yes, sir." "You just happen to be in an area where someone reported hearing sounds like gators fighting something and you've got weapons and no ID." "And we just happen to be where we could keep you from getting eaten by a gator." "Yes, sir." That gave him pause. If we were up to no good, it would probably have been easier to let the gator get him. "You're welcome, by the way." "You're not hunting?" "No, sir." "Is there anyone who is hunting?" "Just you." "I'm not hunting." "Well, we didn't know that. We're moving upstream, trying not to disturb the wildlife when we see you prowling around with a gun. We didn't know what to make of you, so we stayed out of sight until the gator reared up." The warden thought about this and sighed. "Okay. Guess we got us a misunderstanding. Well, you've seen a gator and it's getting dark. How about I walk you out to your car?" "But we didn't get any pictures." He gave me a pointed look. "Okay, yeah, it's getting dark. Guess we're not getting pictures this time, my love." Tuna pouted. The warden gestured with the flashlight back up the trail. "So where'd you park?" "We don't drive. We left our bikes out by the road." Tuna got flashlights out of inventory and gave me one. The three of us picked our way along the darkening trail until we reached the warden's truck. I made a point of beating around in the underbrush, looking for bikes, keeping the warden's attention while Tuna got the bikes out of her inventory. "Over here, husband." "Oh, good. Thanks, warden. We can take it from here." "Why don't you put him in the truck and I'll give you a ride? Wouldn't want you folks getting lost." Tuna and I exchanged glances and I mustered a smile. "Mighty kind of you. Just let me get changed first, okay?" I ducked behind a large shrub, switched to my Earth normal, pulled out my camping kit, and extracted our tent, all rolled up and in its bag. I gave the bag a shake to rattle the poles, then came around, then came back around and handed the bag to Tuna. Your turn. She took the bag and went behind the shrub. The warden looked me over. Where's your spear? It's in the bag. They've made it collapsible, otherwise it's hell riding a bike. Tuna made her own rattle and emerged in her overcoat and beret. We stowed the bikes and piled into the truck. As we headed up the road, he asked, what kind of leather's that? Looks pretty smooth. Deerhide. You're an eco-tourist that's okay with someone shooting Bambi? Where we come from, there's way too many Bambis because people messed up the balance by wiping out all the predators. It's all about balance. We're all part of nature, and nature can give to us if we don't take too egregiously. Egregiously. Yeah, that's why we don't drive and support mass transit. Everybody owning cars is just taking from nature, sucking up the earth's blood and dirtying the air. It was so easy to go on. I threw environmental babble at him, mixed with Gaia mysticism, Native American Great Spirit talk, and Renfrew's Great Spirit of the Forest stuff. Tuna looked out the window, maybe wishing she could pull her ears. If the warden had thought about taking us to the warden station, or whatever it's called, he must have decided the fastest way to get rid of me was to return us to our habitat. He pulled up in front of the Elk Wallow Lodge and helped us unload our bicycles. Thanks, Warden. It was great meeting you and helping you not get eaten and all. The warden nodded at me and looked at Tuna. You don't talk much, do you? She glanced at me before answering with a smile. Do I truly need to? He snorted and walked off toward the lodge, perhaps to check on Saul and Tammy with the manager. We stood there, contemplating the building and arm around each other. Tuna nuzzled my shoulder. I thought we were going to return after hunting. Yeah, that was the plan. One more night? One more hot bath? One more clean-sheeted bed? You'll have to buy your own pork rinds after this. That is fair. Oh, look. Second spammer of the evening. I was looking at a way to ban it and I couldn't find it. Restricted seemed to be enough, so I just let that be. So I guess that's a moderator menu thing? Privileged dovetailer. Anyway. Last entry for the evening. It is almost midnight. And this sort of wraps up the arc. Entry number 62 by Tsu'na. Keychains. We did not have quantities of keys in Eorzea, outside of instances. Doors were either open for us or they were not. There were gatekeepers in some places who allowed us to pass, even in those places where we could fly over the gate. So keychains were not a thing we had crafting recipes for. We had breakfast in the lodge restaurant after our last night in the cabin. We stopped at the desk to settle our bill. I needed to add my money to the final payment and to pay at the restaurant. That still left most of my money, but I think we will not be going back there very often. Husband went to the bathroom after eating. I went to the lobby and found a small merchant shop. There was food, clothing, books, pictures, small statues, and jewelry. A lot of it looked the same, as if it was made with a recipe. Or, as husband might suggest, factories. Among the jewelry were what I recognized from Google as keychains, a ring on the end of a short chain with an ornamental thing at the other end. Most were round or square with pictures of the lake or fish or the head of a man wearing feathers or a brown beeskin that Google said was a beaver. One keychain had what looked like a tooth as an ornament. As husband said, this was probably not an authentically gator tooth. In fact, comparing the feel to the gator teeth in my inventory, I was not sure it was an authentic tooth at all. But it showed how to fasten the tooth to a keychain, so I picked it and a bag of pork rinds. The young innkeeper was not an innkeeper this morning. He was the merchant in the shop. An older man was the innkeeper at the desk. The young merchant recognized me. Morning, Mrs. Hartford. Enjoying your stay here? It has been very nice. I liked the omelets in the restaurant. Do you know how they make them so fluffy? I think I heard they put pancake batter in them. Interesting. I shall try that. Thank you. Sure. Did you know there was a game warden asking about you too? We met one in the woods yesterday. We rescued him from a gator. You rescued him? He did not see the gator before it attacked. Huh, bet he felt stupid. Perhaps he did. I will buy this keychain to remember him, and the pork rinds. Pork rinds are mostly dry flakes in air. I do not know why I like them. They make me very thirsty, but there is something fascinating about the feeling on my tongue. Wikipedia says they are made of pig hide. Perhaps we should hunt pigs. We will have enough to work with for a while, though. Along with teeth, gators provided hide, meat, sinew, and scale-kin blood. Gator hide seems similar to raptor hide. We will continue to improve our armor. We returned to Wyatt and walked home. Husband filled the mower with cornelian and mowed while I vacuumed inside. We agreed we should get back to our work to remind people why they let us stay. I also emailed Myra to let her know I was available to fight, so that I could replace the thousands of dollars we spent the week before. After starting the clothes washer, I studied the keychain I had bought. The metal was the color of brass, but it felt more fragile. Perhaps it was more ornamental than functional. I made 3 brass ingots, then used 1 ingot for each of the 3 parts: the ring, the chain, and the clasp for the tooth. The parts were small enough that I could make 5 of a type from a single ingot. The final recipe will use 1 ingot plus the tooth to make a single keychain, though the first approach may be a better use of metal if I have many teeth to work with. I made 5 keychains, 2 for us, 2 for the Hartmans, and 1 for Sam. Husband was happy with his. He put 3 keys on it right away, then he gave me a key. What is this? It's for the workshop. I've got a lock I'll install if Trevor's done with the lights. In fact, he produced another key. Put this on Sam's ring. Landlord gets a key. I had 1 key for the Hartman house before. Now I have 2 keys. I have keys and a phone and a home and an email address and jobs and money and a vehicle. More and more I become like everyone else in this world. I still do not have identity, but I have normalcy. We went to the pit and found that Trevor was indeed done with the lights. Husband found a switch near the door and made the room brightly lit. We now have a workshop. Husband started working on the door. I took the key to Sam. He looked at the key ring with interest. This ain't from an Oklahoma gator, right? Of course not. Good to know. May I borrow a stool? Sure. Just don't forget you already owe me a table. The first thing husband made in the workshop was a table. The first thing I made was a stool. The table was bigger and took more wood, but the stool took longer because I needed to write the recipe. Of course, the table will sit in the workshop for the next 2 days because Earth people cannot make tables in 2 hours. The stools I made will stay in the workshop unless we start breaking stem stools. As I worked on my stools, husband determined that our computers will work in the workshop, that we are in range of the Wi-Fi router in the bar. So we can type an email and research and craft in the workshop. We can do these things in other places, but this is our place. Husband is once again not telling me something, but at least he is telling me that he is not telling me. He has set up a table at one end of the workshop and has spread a large sheet of paper on it. He says he has ideas for projects. The first project will be a bicycle to see if I can supply components without actually building it. The next project, he says, is a surprise. He talked once again about me being a double-blind test subject. I will consent to being used this way, since it is informed consent. The children were happy to see us at the diner in the evening. The Hartmans were happy with the keychains. Deputy Frank was Deputy Frank. This is now our normalcy. And that was chapter 62, Keychains.